What is going on, guys? We are back today with another competitive discussion video. This one is about Landorus-T, the GOAT. GOAT mon, man. I guess it's actually a cat, not really a GOAT, but it is the greatest of all time OU preview mon to me. I made those last two videos on Greninja and Magearna. I said Greninja, I wasn't sure if it was broken, and Magearna, I was sure it was broken. So I figured I'd pop the question, is Landorus-T broken? Now, this is something I've been thinking about quite recently, because up until quite recently, I never thought Landorus-T was broken. It was very clear to me that Landorus-T is one of the best Pokemon ever. Perhaps even the best Pokemon in Team Preview OU. It's amazing in Gen 5, it's amazing in Gen 6, and it's amazing in Gen 7. And it really is just the greatest Gen 7 Mon across all the metas we've had. I think everybody can agree with that. Pokemon like Greninja and Magearna are definitely very threatening, but Landorus always has the most usage for a reason. It can do the most stuff, and it's just one of the most perfect Pokemon ever. So, you know, I never really thought it was broken off of any one set, but I thought about it and I was like, maybe the fact that it's so good and it can do so much could be telling that it's broken to begin with. But either way, let's hop right into it. Let's talk about Landorus-T. So, like I did with the other two videos with Magearna and Greninja, I have all its sets listed here. Let me just talk about the first one right here. So, Scarf. So, this is the premier set that I see used the most. This is a set that I also use the most. Landorus-T Scarf is probably one of the easiest glues you can run on a team. It works on offense teams, it works on balanced teams, and Landorus-T just has really nice moves to begin with. So Earthquake and U-Turn are obviously the two most important moves. U-Turn, of course, is just amazing on a Scarfer. Lets Landorus switch out of there, get the initiative, and Earthquake is its strong stab move. Earthquake, one of the best moves in the game. Did you guys know Earthquake is actually the most used move on the Pokemon Showdown ladder? Like, just across all Pokemon, because Earthquake in general is the best move in Pokemon alongside Stealth Rock. It's the best offensive move for sure, because it hits the most stuff and it's just a solid move in general. But then Landorus-T only really needs Earthquake and U-Turn, and the last two moves it can really tailor make to whatever it wants on a Scarfer set. So on this one, for example, I have Defog and Explosion, but I have run a multitude of other sets. I've run HP Ice, I've run Stone Edge, I've run HP Fire for Kartana in the past. But yeah, I've run HP Ice, I've run Stone Edge, Knockoff, Toxic. You can run almost anything on Scarf, but for the most part I try to keep Defog. It's very rare for me that I'm going to run Landorus-T with Earthquake, U-Turn, Stone Edge, and HP Ice, or Stone Edge and Explosion and get 4 attack. Landorus-T Scarf is nice because you can allow it to run Defog, but if you have another Defogger with you, say you're running it alongside maybe Rotom Wash, which could run Defog, or Tornadus-T, which is running Defog, then Landorus-T can oftentimes use 4 attack. But Scarf, for the most part, is the set I am running. This one is just an attack invested one with a little bit of defense. I think that might help with Excadrill or something like that. But I've also used a very physically defensive version of Scarf Landorus-T as well, which is able to switch into Garchomp and stuff much more easily. Let me find my spread. I had a team with Glalie that had the Scarf Landorus. Yes, it's right here. This set is obviously very insane. It's U-Turn, Scarf. Oh wait, no, this one is attack investment. Alright, maybe I can't find it, but you guys might have been able to see it in my PS lives in the past. I have used the Landorus-T that hits quite a bit of defense, and it's Scarf. I think I hit 245 defense, and then I have a lot of HP. I don't really run any attack. And the reason for that is I just need Landorus-T for its speed and to check some of the stuff and just be a little bit quicker than some of the stuff. Like, I just use it to check Lopunny and stuff like that, and keeping the physical defense is fine. I don't really need the max attack on a Scarfer. But Scarf Landorus-T, I don't think this set is broken. I think it's one of the best Glumons, and I do think it's the best Scarfer in the metagame, period. There are other viable Scarfers, no doubt. I mean, we have stuff like Kartana, which is amazing, one of the most threatening Scarfers for offense, of course. Greninja, which is a great Scarfer too, but nothing hits like Landorus for me. Maybe Kartana, but even then Landorus has a lot more value a lot of the time, unless you're playing Kartana versus offense or something like that. But in general, Landorus-T Scarf, my favorite set, and its place in the metagame has basically been constant since the beginning. This thing has been, Scarf Landorus has been around since like the first week of SM, so fantastic set. Let's move on to the second most seen set. So Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Rock Tomb, Explosion. You can run Swords Dance over Rock Tomb, and people have run Imprison and stuff like that, but the main point of this set is the Stealth Rock lead. So this basically shows how Landorus can take the Scarf offensive glue position / defensive glue if you want to go defensive, but then it can also be a suicide lead with Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Explosion. This set is seen many times on those dual screen teams, or with just HO in general. You guys know the ones with Coco, Lucha, all that stuff. So this set is very good at keeping up rocks and then being able to explode to, yeah, basically keep them up. Rock Tomb is there to stop stuff like Tornadus, faster Zapdos, etc, etc. This set is very annoying on HO and one of the best Stealth Rockers. Not really much to say. Like I said, there's a little room for creativity. You can put Swords Dance over Rock Tomb if you really want to, but for the most part you need Earthquake and Explosion. You could run Stealth Rock, Edgequake, but like, you want Explosion for the most part, because on a hyper offense team, you don't want your Landorus to become setup bait, and you also want to make sure you're able to keep those rocks up at the end of the day. So this set, most seen on those hyper offensive teams, but this is just to show one of the variations in Landorus' set. I obviously don't think this set is broken. It's just good at what it does. I'm just trying to show the many sets Landorus-T can pull off. So this set was at first the set that I thought would make Landorus broken way back when Sun and Moon had just come out. This set actually does not see as much usage anymore. People are not really running Rock Polish. Me and Joey ran this in SPL and both were able to win with this set, but in general you don't see Rock Polish as much. You see Swords Dance, Stealth Rock more often than that. But let's talk about this set because it's still viable no matter what. The Double Dance set with the Z Crystal. So when talking about if Landorus-T is broken, I think the discussion needs to be put on the Z Crystal set most of all. Like Magirna, this thing is very popular, very powerful. And while Magirna had the essence of surprise with all of its Z moves, Landorus-T, it's very obvious it's always going to be running Z Rock or Z Fly. The problem is, in general, those attacks are extremely hard to switch it to. First of all, Landorus-T doesn't have switch-ins. I believe that this set, SD, Stone Edge, Earthquake, has no sets with has no switching with Rocky MZ. The closest thing you have to a switch is like Claydol and like Flygon, and nobody's using those Pokemon unless you're using them to counter Landorus-T, which, I mean, that might be quite telling of how powerful Landorus-T is if people are going to have to use Claydol and Flygon to take it on. In fact, just recently in SPL, my boy Bengay was using a stall, and he had a Flygon specifically for SD Rockium Lando-T, which would have smashed his stall otherwise, and SD Rockium Chomp. But that's just to talk about how the Edgequake coverage is just very high in usage right now in Sun and Moon. But yeah, so this set, you can tailor make it to what you want. SD Rock Polish is basically here. You click SD if you want to smash the balance in front of you, and Rock Polish if you need that advantage versus offense, that extra speed. But in the past, people also run Swords Dance Stealth Rock. I ran that myself. That set is great because you're able to put a lot of pressure on stall. Sableye gets destroyed. You're able to keep rocks on stuff like not Zapdos. Well, you're able to keep it on Zapdos because you're able to OHKO it with the Z Rock or +2 Stone Edge. But this set is also able to keep rocks on Defog Scarm, which is a staple on stall. +2 Z Rock, I think, does like 75-80 to that thing, and +2 regular Edge can to it KO. I run Adamant because I'm about my power, I'm greedy, but you can run Jolly as well. But this set, and then what's the other one? Hold up, not this one. Yes, so this set. This is another set I've ran. So this is the more traditional one I've seen. Actually, Rockium is definitely used more these days. Another reason for Rockium is that you're able to OHKO Torn. I mean, Supersonic Sky Strike could do that, but in general, people have been preferring Z Stone Edge. Also hits Zapdos, which is huge. But Z Flies, this is a set that I had used the most back in the day, and in general, my favorite set. Alongside Rockium, but Fly, you know, there's something about hitting the Z Fly that's just nice. So this set, Stealth Rock, Swords Dance, Fly, Earthquake, just making use of Landorus' double stab and the insane power of Fly Z to basically kill everything. One bonus of using +2 Fly Z is that you OHKO opposing Landorus. You also got to keep in mind that this thing is so disgustingly strong at +2 that a lot of resists aren't really able to chew it up. Like Rotom Wash is usually physically defensive because it has to take Greninja Dark Pulse and stuff like that. That thing gets obliterated by +2 Fly. I'm pretty sure it dies or rocks up. Similarly, stuff like Celesteela, it's bulky, it has good natural defense, it resists, but at +2, these attacks destroy. Like this, at +2, Landorus destroys Pokemon. Like there aren't resists to this. Like you can be a resist to this thing's moves, but in general, this thing usually is always able to get a kill or two with its Z move, which is why people have been in the past like, oh, is this mom broken? So offensively, yeah, I think this thing is one of the greatest Pokemon like ever. The Z moves made this thing insane. And in general, this set, Double Dance was seen in Gen 6 and Gen 5. Not seen too much in Gen 6, but it had its place, and in Gen 5, it's seen every now and then. But in Gen 7, with the usage of Z moves, this thing is able to nuke a lot more stuff and doesn't even just set up as much if it can just get that one hit off. But I want to talk about two other sets I like to use. This one being a set I have used. I used it halfway through SPL and it worked great, and then I started using it a little bit more as time went on if I didn't want to use Z-Move Landorus, and this set turned out to be very nice for me. So this set is max speed, adamant nature, decent amount of attack investment, so you hit 394, and then a good amount of HP just to retain some bulk, because again, Landorus has one of the best typings, and ability Intimidate is obviously insane too, so you want to make use of its natural bulk a lot of the time. Oh yeah, but this set I made, actually no, CTC made it for me, and I started using it when Tornadus was on the rise, because it was defogging on everything. So I think with this attack, EVs, you're able to KO Tornadus with Stone Edge after rocks, which is pretty nice. In general, Yachi Berry lets you pressure HP as Zapdos. You get to stay in on Coco, Rare Manectric, stuff like that. HP Ice, even with the minus special attack nature, is still able to 2-hit KO Landorus-T, so it's not a big deal. In general, I like this set. It's able to hit pretty hard. We got a lot of attack investment, so we're able to scare out stuff like Toxapex, etc. And in general, I found this thing to be a really good stealth rocker if you don't want to use your Z. So just some food for thought. And then the final set, of course, I have to put in the physically defensive set that has been around since the beginning of time. Stealth Rock, U-turn, nice 3 attacks. My man got nice physical defense boosted up. But the thing is, I don't consider this set that good right now. And the reason being is because everybody and their mom is running Tornadus Defog, Rotom Defog, even Zapdos Defog. And this set really can't beat any of those Pokemon. You need Stone Edge or Z-Rock to threaten Zapdos and Torn. Or you need a Toxic. And then Rotom in general is just pretty good versus Landorus-T. But even a Z-Rock would smash Rotom. So Z-Rock in general and Z-Fly are more favored because you're able to hit these Pokemon that defog more often. This Landorus-T has a lot of trouble getting up rocks. Keeping up rocks versus these balanced teams that have a reliance on defog. Because Landorus doesn't really beat any defoggers. However, this set is amazing at walling stuff like Garchomp, Mawile long term. One of my buddies ran a set, Stealth Rock, Protect, HP Ice, Earthquake to recover HP. Back in the Zygarde meta, that thing was unkillable. Unkillable. I had an Excadrill, it could not get past his Landorus because the thing would get leftovers back, Protect, and then of course it always kills with Earthquake in return. But anyways, these are basically the 6 most seen sets I would say for Landorus-T. There might be some variation here and there on all the moves, but now let's talk about what's important. Is Landorus-T broken? So I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think any one set from Landorus-T is broken, and the only set I think that could possibly be OP is the Z move sets with SD. But I thought about it. What makes a Pokemon broken? I didn't think Greninja was broken either. That thing obviously has a multitude of sets that can do a lot of stuff as well. Magearna, similar to Landorus, someone brought that argument up in my video. It can be very defensively good, like Landorus can be, or and it can be a glue that way, or it can run a Z move and be a sweeper. I do not think Landorus-T ever sweeps as well as Greninja or Magearna, and that's probably true from the majority of battles if you watch too. Landorus-T never fully really sweeps the way those two do. It can go on mini sweeps and it can sweep teams. There's no doubt about that. But Magearna and Greninja are definitely better sweepers than Landorus-T. However, I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm only thinking of broken from like an offensive definition, maybe Landorus-T isn't broken. But you got to give some kind of attention to the insane usage it gets, plus the versatility that it has. And you know, people always leave comments saying stuff like, oh, Smogon will ban this if it's good versus Lando because they want Land, blah, 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 you know, like just funny stuff. But in general, Landorus-T's usage is very, very high. I don't know the exact number. I wager it's like 30%. Someone can post that in the comments. What's the OU usage of Landorus-T? But yeah, I'm very sure that it's the #1 used Pokemon, and that's for a multitude of reasons. That thing is basically able to use so many different sets to perfection. So when looking at these sets and thinking, oh, which one is broken, I don't think you can look at it the normal way and be like, oh, this one's broken because it's more offensive or blah, blah, blah. It's obviously rare that a Pokemon defensively can be so broken, unless it's like, you know, something crazy like Lugia. But let's talk about this again. So when I'm looking at the different types of OU Pokemon and if Landorus can tech a set to beat all of them, that's not the case either. Like, stuff in general will usually be able to take on Landorus-T. Like the SD Breaker set, yes, it can break everything, but that's the point. It has 145 base attack, +2, and you're rocking Z crystals. In general, teams are pretty decent at holding this thing on. Like I said, it's not able to sweep so easily. But I think one of the problems with Landorus is that it is truly one of the most perfect Pokemon ever. Ground type, first of all, is one of the greatest types in Pokemon, and almost every single team needs a ground type for electric moves, Volt Switch. Landorus-T inherently resists Volt Turn. It's immune to ground. It has amazing it has amazing resists to most of the physical attackers, like fighting type moves, ground type moves, stuff like that. It's not weak to too much besides ice, and ice coverage in general is not seen too much besides the ice types, which you won't stay on anyway. And then water Pokemon, which are special attackers, you won't stay on anyway. Physical attackers in general get a lot of hell from Landorus-T. And so defensively, yeah, it's definitely one of the best Pokemon you can pick. But I wouldn't call it broken for any of those defensive reasons. But I would say that Landorus-T is quite possibly closest to the perfect Pokemon that I have played with in OU. Like, I think this thing is truly perfect, the amount of things it can do. It can remove hazards, it can set up hazards, it can be a Scarf, it can be Suicide Lead. I mean, it can set up, it can do all this stuff. I've seen Substitute in the past. Like, Landorus-T truly has so many moves that it can make use of. I remember, what's it called? Let me see. Let me just look at some of these sets. I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that's relevant to Gen 7. So I think for the I saw Sludge Wave in the past to beat Bulu. But that's more of a metagame tech. But in general, yeah. When looking at Landorus-T, the question you have to bring up if it's broken. And I really didn't think about that until people started posting it in my videos so much. Like, yo, Landorus-T is broken, do the Landorus-T video, etc., etc. Because in my head, I was always like, yeah, Landorus-T is one of the GOATs, obviously. Undoubtedly one of the top 2-3 Pokemon. Probably top 2. Honestly, it might even be See, I would say that Magearna and Greninja are to this day better offensive threats than Landorus. I know Landorus-T can always get the nuke with the Z-Fly, etc., maybe force a kill, but those two are much easier to sweep with long term and even short term in a game. But Landorus has a much higher support threshold, I think. Way higher support threshold. Scarf, in general, gives some of the most, like, utility a Scarfer can give if you think about it. Like, Scarf Landorus is really good. That's one thing I have realized in playing SM. The ability it gets to always defog, U-turn, tank hits, explode in a crisis. You can basically switch it into almost any physical attack thanks to Intimidate. Like, I be throwing this thing into super effective waterfalls and stuff like that all the time. It doesn't matter. But overall, no, I do not think Landorus-T is broken from an offensive standpoint. But if I were to look at Landorus-T as a whole and think, should Landorus-T be banned, or is it broken by how much it's used and the variability in its sets, I would say yes. This thing has a spot on almost every single team. You can justify this thing being on almost every single team. If you really want to put this thing on every single team you make, you probably could do it. But sometimes people are like, oh, I'd rather have Garchomp here because I need a better heatran resist, or I'd rather have Hippo here because I need a more dedicated ground type. Sure, that's fine. Every now and then you'll come up across a team like that. And in general, people value Garchomp for the speed and the ability to take Tran, and that's why the reason they use it over Stealth Rock Landorus-T. But that Mon Garchomp will never be Landorus-T. Landorus-T is just something else. The closest thing I think we ever got to a perfect Mon, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So this is basically what my opinion on Landorus-T was. One of the best Pokemon in the metagame. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, if you guys think Landorus-T is truly broken or not. Always want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know if there's another Pokemon in general you guys want me to talk about. I could do Heatran. I did Gren, Magearna, Lando now, which were like the big three, but I could do Heatran, I could do Mawile, Megazam, the actual most broken. Nah, I'm playing, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.